AI. That's the signal.
All right, let's dive into something that's on a lot of people's minds right now. AI technology is just unbelievably powerful. But here's the paradox. So many AI projects inside real businesses are completely falling flat. So today, we're going to figure out why.
I mean, it really does feel like magic, doesn't it? You play around with the tool like ChatGPT and your mind just races with the possibilities. So, what gives? Why does that magical feeling so often disappear when we try to plug it into a real-world business process? That's the big mystery we're unpacking.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the huge gap between the promise of AI and what's actually happening. Then we'll get into why this is, at its core, a people problem. After that, we'll cover the two absolute must-haves, process and data. We'll even give you a checklist to see if you're ready. And we'll wrap up with a really powerful new way to think about all of this.
Okay, so let's kick things off with this first big idea, the promise versus the reality. We've got this incredible, world-changing technology on one side, and on the other, teams that are just struggling to get any real value out of it. What is going on?
And this right here is probably our first big clue. It's exciting that the tech is moving this fast for sure, but let's be real. For a business team that already has a full-time job, it's completely overwhelming. I mean, if the experts can barely keep up, how is a regular team supposed to? And that leads us to really the core idea of this entire explainer. The reason these projects are failing isn't because the AI is dumb or the code is bad. No, it's because we've totally overlooked the human side of the equation. Our culture, our habits, and frankly, our lack of preparation.
Okay, so if this is a human problem, where do we even start to fix it? Well, it begins by looking in the mirror. The biggest roadblock isn't the software, it's us. It's our own ingrained habits and the way we're used to thinking about work.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? When a tool makes a hard task suddenly feel easy, our gut reaction isn't always relief. A lot of the time, it's actually guilt. We feel like we cheated, like we didn't really earn it. And that psychological barrier, it's a massive and often totally unspoken reason why people resist adopting AI.
So what this all boils down to is a fundamental mindset shift. I mean, think about it. You don't feel guilty for using a calculator for complex math, right? Of course not. You see it as a tool that makes you faster and more effective. We need to start thinking about AI in exactly the same way. It's not about being lazy. It's about giving yourself superpowers to focus on the stuff that really matters. And this idea leads to a really cool concept, the Agentic Workforce. In this new world, your job isn't to do all the tedious tasks yourself. Your job is to become the manager of a team of AI agents that do those tasks for you. You supervise them, you train them, and you handle the really complex strategic problems. Your value goes way up because you're leveraging this incredible tool, not trying to compete against it.
All right, so we've got the mindset piece down. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts. Before you even think about building with AI, you have to have a solid foundation. And that foundation is built on two non-negotiable pillars: your processes and your data.
And this is probably one of the biggest showstoppers out there. In so many companies, the most important workflows aren't written down anywhere. They're just stuck in the heads of a few experienced people. Well, guess what? AI can't read minds. If you can't clearly map out your process step by step, there is no way an AI can learn to do it for you.
But here's a really clever, kind of meta idea. You can actually use AI to get ready for AI. Instead of spending weeks trying to write down your process, just turn on a voice recorder and talk through it as you do it. Then take that messy transcript, dump it into an AI assistant, and ask it to turn it into a clean, structured document. Boom. You've just started building the foundation you need.
Okay, so pillar number 2 is data. Just think of it like this. Your data is the textbook your AI is going to study to learn about your business. Now, if that textbook is a mess, with different departments saying different things, outdated information, just chaos, your AI is going to be a very confused and very useless student. Garbage in, garbage out. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so we've covered mindset, process, and data. Now let's turn all of that into something you can actually use. This is a simple audit. 5 questions you absolutely have to ask your team before you write a single line of code for an AI project. First up, the big one, why? Seriously, is there a real, painful business problem you're trying to solve? Second, what's the ROI? Can you actually measure how this is going to save time or make money? Third, what about your data? Is it clean? Is it accessible? Be honest. Fourth, who owns this? If you can't point to one person whose job it is to make this succeed, it's doomed. And finally, do you have the people and tools to do this, or do you need to bring in some help?
And when you ask those questions, you start to see some classic red flags pop up. If the answer to why is, well, our competitors are doing it, that's not a strategy, that's just fear. If you hear, we don't really have any data for this, well, the project's over before it began. And my personal favorite, my manager told me to. That's the kiss of death. It means nobody is truly passionate or accountable for making it work. All right, let's bring this all home with what might be the biggest, most exciting idea of them all. We've talked about getting ready for AI, but the real goal here isn't just to do the same old things a little bit faster. It's to completely reimagine how we work from the ground up.
And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures the danger. If all we do is use AI to speed up our current clunky processes, we are missing the entire point. It's like strapping a jet engine to a bicycle. Yeah, it's faster, but you're not really inventing anything new, are you?
Let me give you a really concrete example. Automation is using AI to create that boring weekly sales report, just in 5 minutes instead of 5 hours. Reimagination? That's getting rid of the report altogether. Instead, you build an AI agent that knows all the data, and your team can just ask it any question they want anytime and get an instant answer. See the difference? The old process isn't just faster, it's completely obsolete. Think about it this way. For years, the standard for customer support has been the knowledge base, right? Some poor soul has to write a long, generic article to try and predict a customer's problem. It's static, it's one size fits all, and the customer has to hunt for it. But the new way? It just completely leapfrogs that entire process. Why on earth would you go digging through articles when you can just ask an AI agent your specific, unique question and get a perfect, personalized answer back in seconds? AI doesn't just make the knowledge base better, it makes the whole idea of a static knowledge base feel ancient. And that, right there, is the question we need to be asking ourselves. The biggest risk with AI isn't that the technology is going to fail. It's that our imagination will fail the technology. So I'll leave you with this. Are you just trying to put a new coat of paint on the past, or are you actually ready to build the future?
Please support the channel by liking and subscribing. Thank you for your support.